How much of an impact does not being emotionally aware of your own emotions, as well as maybe growing up in a time where these conversations weren't having, impacting these people? What are your thoughts?
Significant. I think they go hand in hand. Part of why we're not good at feeling our emotions was because it was never talked about. So if we don't talk about it, how do we learn? One of the things that's happened in the last, 10, 20 years is we've gotten better at talking about mental health, talking about emotions, talking about anger, talking about anxiety. So we're able to kind of see it and understand it a bit more. People in their 40s, 50s, 60s, it wasn't talked about at all. So we didn't learn about it. So if I'm not learning how to feel my emotions, I am learning how to suppress them and push them down. It's the only other option. And so those emotions get bigger and bigger and bigger. Vulnerable is probably one of the hardest ones to feel. Emotions are on a bit of a spectrum. Our willingness to feel love and connected is very much connected to how much we're willing to feel vulnerable and fear and rejection. But vulnerable is a hard one. The definition of vulnerable is opening yourself up to possibility of getting hurt. Well, who wants to do that? That doesn't sound fun at all, right? Add to that as a child, there were many times I felt vulnerable. I've learned I don't ever want to feel that again. So I put huge walls up to protect myself from feeling vulnerable. The problem with these walls to protect ourselves from feeling vulnerable is they keep everybody else on the other side. And so what we're using to protect ourselves from feeling vulnerable is actually also creating fear, fear of rejection, abandonment, loneliness, sadness. It creates a whole other spectrum of issues that are a vital concern as well. And so if I'm feeling vulnerable, I need to push you away. How am I going to push you away? Well, I'll hurt you. And so that's what we see relationships do. Where, as soon as we'll see people where things are going well, they're doing really good, everything's going great. And then one of them picks a fight with the other. They're sabotaging. It's like, oh, this is too scary. We're feeling too connected, too vulnerable. So I need to push you away and put you back on the other side of that wall again. We see people do that time and time and time again. I hear, couples will often say, we just want to feel love and connected. And I say, okay, well, how do you feel about vulnerability and rejection? They're like, oh, no, I don't want to feel those. Those aren't good. So, well, you can't have love and connection without also being okay to feel vulnerable and rejection. They go hand in hand. I can I can only let people in and really love someone as much as I'm willing to feel vulnerable and connect and rejection. So as soon as that starts to get triggered, I'm going to do something to sabotage that relationship and push them back so I can create more of that disconnect.
So, Sabrina, let me ask you then, the person who's in a relationship with someone like that, how would they continue to navigate that relationship and make sure that it doesn't fall apart because they love this person? They want to be with them. But if you're pushing someone away, making someone feel low, picking a fight with them, what advice can you give to the person who's on the receiving end of this person's refusal to be emotionally aware or vulnerable to a point where they can open up themselves to this person that they say that they love?
Love isn't enough.
What's love got to do with it? Got to do with it? Got to do with it?
That's right. I think everyone wants to feel loved, but it also needs to reinforce and support that core belief. And it usually comes with a bit of a catch in it. So if I'm with someone who's constantly pushing me away, I need to look at myself. Why am I okay to be with someone who's constantly pushing me away? Because I also then don't want to connect. I can say I want to connect, but I don't actually ever have to connect because I know they're going to do a good job pushing me away. So the person who is chasing that attention, that connection with someone who is not giving it time after time after time after time also doesn't want to feel connection, scared to feel connection. Because if they were comfortable with connection, they would have left that relationship and they would look for someone who is more vulnerable, more open to that connection. They're not as scared. Everything we do for a reason. So if I'm drawn to someone who pushes me away, I need disconnection. Otherwise, I wouldn't be with them.
So would that mean then the people who are chasing, as you mentioned, if they move on and away from this person and they leave this person alone, what incentive then would that person who is left alone have to fix themselves or to work through their issues?
Honestly, you have no control over that. The only one you can control is you. So if I'm realizing I'm chasing attention that I'm not getting or affection that I'm not getting, I'm going to choose to leave. What they need to do is up to them. That's their journey. I have no control over it, no say over it. Whether I'm with them or not, I have no control over that. All I know is I need to do something different for me. But guess what? Really high likelihood, I'm just going to find another person just like this one that's going to push me away as well if I'm not doing the work. So we see people repeating these patterns of behaviors in relationship after relationship after relationship. Well, what's a common denominator? It's not the partners, it's me. So I have to realize, you know what? It's one thing to want connection, but if I'm wanting connection from someone who doesn't want connection, I really am scared of connection. Otherwise, I would look for someone different. So you have to become aware of that in yourself and challenge yourself on that so that you're more open to be more vulnerable, to have a different level of connection with someone else who's also willing to give you that in return. We do a lot of pointing, right? Blaming the other person. Well, if they just, I'll fix this, I'll fix that. That's all wasted time and effort and energy. It's what we do to avoid dealing with our own stuff. As long as I'm taking care of focusing on everyone out here, I'm not dealing with what's going on for me.
I knew a woman who she was experiencing that, but she was experiencing it based on her friendship. And what was happening was she was taking care of this person, and her justification was if I don't do it, no one else will. So she was getting so wrapped up in this that people were telling her, like, hey, you're spending an unusual amount of time, you're giving this person all your money. And what turns out is that that person went to her and said that, you know what? If you give me X amount of dollars, I can learn to love you. If you give me X amount of dollars, I can learn to treat you this way. Because I guess it was from her perspective, eventually she wanted a different type of relationship than she was receiving. And because this man was able to identify that, what happened then is I began to take advantage of it. So to your point, you could have walked away from that situation, but there's sometimes where someone is so deep in it, the stardust is such in their eyes that they can't see clearly. It's like snow blindness, right? Like you just can't see it for what it is. And because she was stuck in that situation now and people are trying to pull her out, she couldn't leave it until she was discarded. Oh, I
Yeah.
don't need you anymore. I've extracted your resources. I've extracted your time. I've extracted your youth. I know that you said that love isn't enough, but why do you think some people stay who are chasing after this person? They stay so long in the situation to the point where they're have it has nearly destroyed them. Why do you think that happens?
That's again connected back to that core belief. If I feel not good enough, I am only going to feel that I'm worthy of a certain level of love. And so if I feel not good enough, not important, not valued, why would I be drawn to someone who treats me with respect and dignity and kindness and caring? That's out of balance. Doesn't feel right.